Hello and welcome to Cappin at the Spa. I'm Saratoga Geese and we're recording live from sunny Saratoga, Quivik Drive, ready for Travers Weekend. Today's State Bred Day. We've got 6 picks for you. We have Exacta Box Bobby here, welcome.
Thanks, Geese, for having me.
And Daily Double Dan, how are you today?
Doing good.
All right, still reveling in Taparoo, 10-1?
That's right.
A couple days
Looking
ago?
to stay hot.
I like to hear that. All right, we got 2 picks each today, and we're going to make a little comment about the highlight of the meet so far. I'm going to start it off in race 2. Race 2 is a state bred allowance, non-winners of 1, 6 furlongs. And my selection is going to be Samay, 6-1, the number 6 horse, Mike Lassess, and Dylan Davis. This race is really it's a lower class state bred allowance. The buyer par is an 85, and no one in this race has come within 5-6 points of that. So it gives everybody a chance in this race. H-Man's going to be the favorite, 8-5 morning line. The horse is very good in the slop, but the horse has 45 starts and is still trying to win a state bred allowance, non-winners of 1. So I feel pretty confident going against him. Samay has some excellent credentials. Ran a 66 as a 2-year-old, winning a maiden special weight at Finger Lakes. The horse that ran second came back to win. The horse has been off for 11 months, And if you just do a normal progression from 2 to 3, he's running in the high 70s here and has a great chance to win. He's got some good works, and the trainer off 180-day plus layoff is 33% winners with an ROI of over $8. So doesn't usually run here at Saratoga's, more of a Finger Lakes guy, but he's certainly coming in for the $71,000 purse, and we're going to take a shot with him at 6-1. We're going to move on to race 6, and we're going to talk to Daily Double Dan has a horse for us.
All right, taking a look at this 6 race optional claiming, 40,000, 5.5 furlong turf sprint. I'm looking at the number 1 horse here, Colonel Tom, 6-1 morning line. Part of the reason I liked Taparoo last week, as Geese mentioned, was a nice 10-1 shot winner there, was 2 to 3-year-old improvement. So we'll see right here, November 17th, ran an 84 buyer, wired the field, 1 by 3. Normal progression here, coming back as a 3-year-old. You know, we're expecting him to improve off of that race right there. His 2 races this year haven't been great, haven't been awful. Got a win under his belt last time, again wiring the field. I like him to beat these other horses to the lead. There's going to be some speed, but not too concerned about it. I think he can get to the lead himself and hopefully ride that hedge all the way around like we saw a couple horses do yesterday.
All right, excellent. And before we go back to Danny for the 8th race, I want to ask Exacta Box Bobby, what do you think's been the highlight of the meet so far?
Yeah, so the highlight of the meet for me personally, and I think for all 3 of us here, was Voodoo Song's wire-to-wire victory in the 4-star Dave. Holding off Delta Prince. Really looked like Delta Prince was going to go by him in the stretch, but Voodoo Song dug in and held him off at 6-1. I know all of us here had some nice wagers on him, so we were happy to see that. Definitely looking forward to Voodoo Song coming back closing weekend in the Bernard Baruch, looking to run that Saratoga record up to 6 for 6.
Excellent. You know, maybe one of these guys, 4-star Dave, someday might say Voodoo Song right on here. Great. I was at the track that day. The boys weren't there, but it was a tremendous experience. The crowd really got into it. Larry Colmus gave a great call, and it was definitely the highlight of the meet so far. So let's see if we can make some more highlights, and let's go to the 8th race and back to Danny.
All right, taking a look at the 8th race, mile and a 16th on the turf, the Yaddo B 150K stakes race. I'm looking at the number 6 here, Tazelle, morning line 12-1. A couple things caught my eye here. If we look 2 back, he was 6-5, basically the co-favorites with 55, who is the morning line favorite today. That was just 2 races ago. He's a co-favorite with him. Now he's 12-1, the other one's 8-5. So that's some value right off the bat there. You take a look at his last 2 races, weren't so well. Definitely had an excuse 2 back. Last race, not a huge excuse, just didn't really run great, didn't run awful. I'm looking for him to get back to his old form. He typically likes to close from about the 3rd, 4th, 5th spot there. Last race, he was kind of on the lead. Didn't really like that, so I'm looking for Rajiv Mirage to get him back in the 4-5 hole and hopefully get some closing going on here at 12-1.
All right, good pick. We're going to head over to Bobby, and he's going to talk about race 9.
Thanks. So in race 9, the Fleet Indian, a state-bred filly race for 3-year-olds, going 1 mile and 1/8 on the dirt. My selection is going to be the 7, Rachel's Blue Moon, 8-1 on the morning line for the Red Hot Jimmy Jerkins barn. This horse has only raced 5 times before, so a little more lightly raced than the rest of the horses here. Spent the beginning of her career sprinting, and was doing okay for a state-bred filly, 3-year-old, running some okay races, but nothing too special. And then last race, stretching out to a 1-turn mile at Belmont, really seemed like the lights turned on. This horse went right to the lead, whereas she had been sitting off sprinting. Once she stretched out to a mile, went right to the lead, ran some pretty fast fractions, and ran a great race. Second place finisher has come back to win, ran a 75 buyer. There's not that much speed in this race, so I'm looking for Rachel's Blue Moon to go right to the lead again. Basically is right up there, that past race, with the fastest races on the form from anyone here on the dirt. So hoping that Rachel's Blue Moon can use that recently improved race stretching out. Hopefully she can stretch that speed out an extra eighth of a mile. No one in this race is proven at a mile and an eighth, right? It's a question for everybody. So I'm going to go ahead and take a chance with the horse that's run just as fast as all the others and should hopefully have a pace advantage.
All right, excellent selection. I'm going to take a shot here at race 10 in the West Point, 150,000 mile and a 16th on the turf. And I like Morrison, the one horse here at 12 to 1. This is your typical state bred. You're talking to Carafa, King Creasa, Offering Plan, Memories of Peter, Black Tie. Tremendous amount of speed in this race. Offering Plan's 6 to 5 morning line. Going to be very tough to beat, especially with all the speed in the race. Morrison's coming out of the Ultra Key Hawkish race from back in March and April of this year. Ran second, came back and won twice since then, and also has a second. Last race, won again at Saratoga, and Leave Him at the Gate, who ran second, came back and won. So I think he's been running in some very key races. Really stepping up in class, has to get a trip. Luis Saez has to do a tremendous job getting him positioned because he's not going to get to the front. We're looking for him to sit off, have the rail spot, and he's got to get first jump on Offering Plan to have a shot. I'm definitely going to hook him up with Offering Plan in an Exacta, but we're looking at taking a shot here with Morrison, and I'm pretty sure you're going to get at least double digits on this horse. And let's wrap it up with the 11th race and go to Danny.
Or Bobby.
Or Bobby, how about you? What are you liking? All right, let's go.
All right, so 11th race, last race of the day, state bred maiden claimer sprinting on the turf. One of those really tough races. Very dubious favorites. Really, any horse can win. Not that much experience in the race. None of the horses are really that good, right? So one of those races where you're going to have to figure something out if you want to hit a nice pick 4 or pick 5. I'm going to try and do that with the 4, Good Old Boy. 12 to 1 on the morning line for Mike Maker and Irad Ortiz. I know both Daily Double Dan and Saratoga Geese have already talked today about that 2 to 3 buyer progression. I'm taking the same angle here with Good Old Boy. Looking at some of those turf sprints he ran in some maiden specials, so he's dropping down in class from these maiden specials he ran as a 2-year-old sprinting on the turf. 51 buyer and a 48 buyer, and that 48 buyer came with some significant trouble breaking from the rail in a 12-horse turf sprint. Now he's been off for a while. Mike Maker's pretty good with horses coming back off a layoff, so I'm hoping that he has Good Old Boy ready to go. Again, the field's not that strong. Look at that normal 2 to 3 progression for Good Old Boy. If he could run a buyer in the 60 to 65 range, which I think his races last year suggest that he can, that puts him right in the thick of it against some of these other horses who are going to be 5 to 2, 3 to 1, who frankly have had their chances. I'd rather take a horse who's kind of a new shooter here who can maybe show some improvement with some upside.
All right, excellent. Danny's got one quick comment on the 7th.
Yes, in the 7th race, I like the number 7, She's Trouble. Wasn't allowed to pick her for the show because it was under 6 to 1. 4 to 1 morning line, but love She's Trouble. We were here last time, won by 5 lengths. Very impressive. We were all over in that race. And coming back again, anywhere near 4 to 1. I'm going to be putting in a nice bet. Definitely going to have it singled in a couple different bets as well. So She's Trouble in the 7th.
All right. And be sure to follow us on Saratoga Geese on Twitter. And also, we're going to have another show tonight for Travers. We'll be broadcasting live from the picnic area at Saratoga. So be ready. Let's have a great state bird day. And here's hoping today is your day.